All right, we are doing question 8 on the extra little worksheet thing, which is just for practice only. It doesn't have to be turned in. So it's to use for like stuff right now, like we're using it as an example. So I'm going to look at number 8. It's similar to question 23 on the homework. Cool. All right, so technically this is already a quadratic equation because it has a squared as the highest exponent, but it's in a format that we can use our quadratic type equations instead and do a substitution. Because if we didn't do a substitution, then we would have to like multiply this all out and distribute this negative through here and combine like terms and then solve it. And sometimes the answers get a little ugly depending on what the answer turns out to be. It might be harder to factor if we do that than if we just do this. So let's go ahead and do a substitution. I don't know why it's kind of traditional to use the letter U, because it really doesn't matter what variable you choose to use for a substitution like this. So I'm going to let U equal 2x plus 5, and that means that U squared, of course, would equal 2x plus 5 squared. You don't really need to write that out. I'm just making sure we understand why I can replace this with U squared and this with U. So that gives me U squared minus U minus 6. So I've just done a substitution so that I have U's instead of X's, and I have a fairly simple looking quadratic equation instead of the more complicated one. So then I can factor it. So factors of U squared are U and U are our only options for that. So U times U is U squared. And then for negative 6, we could do negative 6 and 1, or positive 6 and negative 1, or negative 2 and 3, or positive 2 and negative 3. The way that we choose what factors to use has to do with what they add up to in the middle. So the factors that multiply to get negative 6 that add up to a negative 1 in the middle would be a negative 3 and a positive 2, because that way negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. And negative 3u plus 2u is negative 1u in the middle. So once we have those factors, we know that u minus 3 equals 0, so u equals 3. And then u plus 2 equals 0, so u equals negative 2. We're not done until we find the actual answer for x. So at this point, we go back to our substitution, and we put that back in place of u. So 2x plus 5 equals 3, because u equals 3. I'm going to go ahead and subtract the 5, so 2x would equal negative 2, and then that means x equals negative 1. And here we get, let's see, 2x plus 5 equals negative 2. We're going to subtract that 5 from both sides. So we get 2x equals negative 7. So then x equals negative 7 halves. So if we had gone ahead and multiplied this out and solved the quadratic that is already here without using a substitution, you can see that our factors would have been a little bit messier. Getting a fraction answer indicates that, you know, this factoring was a lot easier than it would have been if we'd multiplied it out and then solved it.